Hi everyone, we are going to go back to recursive sequences today. That way we can just continue practicing. If you've already finished this, check your answers with my answer key and maybe go on to the Delta Math February break assignment extra credit thing, which was also the Unit 7 test corrections. So, just find something to keep you busy. But if you didn't finish this yet, we're definitely going to go back to the day 2 worksheet and continue working on it. My classes all left off in a different place. So if your class did example 5, then skip to the video for example 6. But the key phrase in this whole question is that it says recursively. And we know that recursive sequences are 2 parts. So just to show how this is broken up, you can cross out choice 2 and you can cross out choice 4 because that's one piece of information. Between 1 and 3, you have to look for the pattern. The first pattern is to subtract 320, and the second pattern is to multiply by 0.84. Now, I don't like to multiply with decimals. I think it's easier to subtract. So if we were to subtract, let me get a calculator because I don't know. If you did 2,000 minus 320, on your calculator, you would get 1,680, and that looks like it's great. But always double check to make sure your pattern works twice. If we take 1680 and we subtract 320, see, you would get 1360, which is not 1,411.2. So while it works for the first one, the pattern doesn't work again, so it can't be choice 1. If you want to just double check that it's actually 0.2, 2,000 times 0.84 will give you 1680. And if you do 1680 times 0.84, you are going to get 1,411.2. That's why it's choice 3. Going on to the next one, it says to write a recursive sequence, or rather a recursive formula to describe the sequence below. Now, can you just list out the sequence for yourself before you start to do this? Your first term is 4. Your second term is 12. Your third term is 36. Your fourth term is 108. And you can see here that the pattern is to multiply by 3. So we are multiplying by 3 each and every time. Now, because you're multiplying, this is geometric. That's why it resembles an exponential. That was awful. That's why it resembles an exponential equation, because it is geometric. And your common ratio is 3. And that's why it's increasing, because your ratio is greater than 1, right? If your base is greater than 1, you are increasing. If it's less than 1, it's decreasing. Anyway, they want you to write a recursive formula. So you would start with a sub 1 and a sub n equals a sub n minus 1, because this is the previous term. So your a sub 1, your first term, is 4. The pattern is to multiply by 3. So you take the previous term and you multiply by 3. That is your recursive sequence. On the side, if you wanted to do it explicitly, explicit formulas are on your reference sheet. You would go to the geometric sequence, and it would say that the explicit formula is a sub n equals a sub 1 r to the n minus 1. So it would be a sub n, my first term is 4, my common ratio is 3, n minus 1. So the sequence is geometric. but this is recursive, or rather it is written with a recursive formula, and this is written with an explicit formula. Trying the next one, given the following recursively defined sequences, determine the next 3 terms. So please be careful. Sometimes they give you a sub 0, sometimes they give you a sub 1. If you are writing something to begin with, I recommend starting with a sub 1. When they give you a sub 0, go with it. Now, the really important part is that they want the next 3. So the next 3 terms would be a sub 1, a sub 2, and a sub 3. This is really important syntax because I think that's called syntax. I don't know, don't do English. But when it says the next 3, you do what comes after the one that they gave you. If they wanted you to find the first 3, that would be different. The first 3 would be starting with what they gave you and going up. So the first 3 is a sub 0 through 2. The next 3 is a sub 1 through 3. Very important distinction, and you have to give them what they asked for. Anyway, they did want the next 3, so our pattern is to add 8, the previous plus 8. Well, what came before a sub 1? The previous was 4. So 4 plus 8 is 12. Then we have the previous plus 8. Now the previous is 12. So 12 plus 8 is 20. And now the previous is 20 plus 8 is 28. So the next 3 terms are 12, 20, if my thing would work, and 28. Whereas the first 3 would be 4, 12, and 20. Okay, for the next one, they're starting with a sub 1. So the next 3 would be a sub 2, a sub 3, and a sub 4. The pattern is the previous term times 1/2, which is dividing by 2. So we have 24, the previous term, times 1/2. Use your calculator if you need it, that is 12. Now the previous term is 12. Times 1/2 is 6. Now the previous term is 6. Times 1/2 is 3. So the next 3 terms are 12, 6, 3. And that kind of makes sense that we are decreasing because what you're multiplying is less than 1. And remember, with exponential equations, if you're multiplying by something less than 1, then you're decreasing. Okay, so what is important that not all recursive formulas represent geometric or arithmetic sequences. So here we have that our first term is 3. And then we have a pattern. The pattern, I don't know why my thingy's at. Okay, now it's working. My pattern is to multiply by 2 and add 1. So let's actually do this problem. It is asking for the first 4 terms. Now it says the first 4, and we're starting with the first. So the first 4 is a sub 1, a sub 2, a sub 3, and a sub 4. That's what we have to find. Now they tell us the first term is 3, right up here. So that's easy. And now we have to follow the pattern. So the pattern is 1 plus 2 times the previous. My previous term was 3. So 1 plus 2 times 3 is going to give me 7. And now I'm going to follow the pattern again. 1, if my pen would work, 1 plus 2 times the previous. The previous this time was 7. And if I did that, 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1, that would be 15. Follow the pattern one more time. 1 plus 2 times the previous. My previous is 15. So 2 times 15 is 30, plus 1 is 31. So my first four terms are 3, 7, 15, and 31. That's the first part of this answer. The next one is asking us, can the sequence be represented using an explicit formula? An explicit geometric formula. That means, is there a common ratio? Does a common ratio exist? Now, in order to find R, you do the next divided by the previous. So R is 7 divided by 3. If you were to do that, 7 divided by 3 in the calculator is about, well, not about, it is exactly 2.3 repeating. But double check to make sure your R's match. Now do 15 divided by 7. 15 divided by 7 in the calculator, ooh, that one's not exact. This is about 2.14. So because the R's don't match, this is not geometric. Not geometric. Or you could say, no, it can't be written explicitly because it is not geometric since there is no common ratio. Please don't write because there's no R. Write because there's no common ratio. Be as specific as possible for your Regents graders. Okay, let's do the next one. Ooh, I just want to point out, this is not geometric, nor is it explicit. Oh, sorry, not explicit. I meant to say arithmetic. It's not geometric and it's not arithmetic. I understand that you are adding 1, and I understand you're multiplying by 2. But you can't combine arithmetic and geometric together. Arithmetic is only adding or subtracting. Geometric is only multiplying or division. If you combine adding and multiplying, then it's nothing. I mean, it's something, we just don't have a name for it. So they want you to find the first 4 terms of the recursive sequence. Well, they already gave us the first 4, the first of the 4. They gave you a sub 0 equals -2. Then we have a sub 1, a sub 2, a sub 3. That would be the first 4 terms, not the next 4. The next 4 would be from a sub 1 to a sub 4, what comes after. Now, your pattern is to square it and add 3. And if you could read my handwriting, that says square and add 3. So I'm going to square it and add 3. I'm going to square my previous term. My previous term is -2. So -2 squared is +4. Make sure you're using parentheses in your calculator. Plus 3. +4 plus 3 is 7. Please make sure you can actually put that in the calculator and get that. Now we're going to square and add 3 again. We're going to take the previous term. Our previous term was 7. 7 squared plus 3 is going to give you 49 plus 3 is, what is that, 52? And then we're going to take it again, square plus 3. My previous term is 52. I don't know what that one is off the top of my head. 52 squared plus 3 in the calculator is 2,707. So those would be your first 4 terms of that sequence. Now keep in mind, this is not geometric because we're not multiplying by a common number. And it's not arithmetic because we're adding 3, but we're also squaring it. So that means we're throwing arithmetic out the window. Okay. Also want to point out the notation because we're used to seeing this. We're used to seeing n minus 1 because n minus 1 comes before n. In this one, they said n, but that's okay because n comes before n plus 1. So sometimes they're going to give you a little different notation. You just have to go with it. That's here as well. It's a little bit different. They give you the previous term. K comes before k plus 1. The important part is that the pattern is multiply by 2 and subtract 1. So they want the third term. Well, in order to find the third term, you're going to have to find the second. So we have a sub 2 is 2 times something minus 1. That something is the previous term. 2 times 3 minus 1 is 5. Then the third term, a sub 3, would be 2 times something minus 1. That something is 5. What came before it? This would be 9. So a sub 3 is 9. Okay, we have 2 more problems and then we are done, right? Yeah, okay. So practice with the regions questions. What you should know about these scenarios right away is it arithmetic or is it geometric? Now, because you are multiplying by 0.80, that means you are geometric. And geometric sequences resemble exponential functions, and exponential functions deal with percentages. So as soon as you see that you have a geometric equation, automatically go to look at the percentages. Choice 1 and 2 are actually arithmetic. Now, the difference between these is that one is growing by 80% and the other one is decreasing by 20%. So the question is, are you increasing or decreasing? And if you're multiplying by 0.80, 0.8 is less than 1. And remember with exponential equations, if you are less than 1, then you are decreasing. So what we're going to go with is the one that is less. We are decreasing each year. The 0.20 comes into play because if you do 1 minus 0.8, you get the 20%. You are decreasing, you are keeping 80% and you are decreasing by 20%. Last one. Okay, automatically what I see here, I see that it's asking for a recursive formula. Recursive formula is 2 parts. And if you split these up the way they're meant to be, sometimes it's hard to see. Choice 1 and choice 3 are 1 part each. So it's not either of those. Those are explicit. Has to be either 2 or 4. Let's see what's happening. You know what? It has to be choice 4 because only choice 4 has the proper notation. It has the previous term. So it is choice 4. If you're wondering where the 0.92 comes from, well, we're talking about the depreciation rate of the boat. So this is decreasing. To depreciate means to decrease in value. And that means it is a 1 minus r equation. So 1 minus, that's awful, 1 minus 0.08, because this is 0.08, is equal to 0.92. That's where the 0.92 is coming from. Anyway, I hope this helped. And tomorrow in class, we're going to be working with both explicit and recursive, but we're going to throw some word problems into it.